This Real Agriculture podcast is brought to you by Genesis Fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizer is your farm's #1 expense. Farmers are working together through Genesis Fertilizers to solve the problem of high prices and security of supply by planting a state-of-the-art nitrogen plant. Security and earnings through ownership is the solution. Visit Genesis today at genesisfertilizers.com to learn more.
Have you with us here on Market Day Report. I'm Tammy Arender. The latest job reports for both the U.S. and Canada were released today, indicating how both markets ended the year. Host of RealAg Radio, Shaun Haney, joins us now with the very latest. Good to have you with us, Shaun. So what were the Canadian numbers, and how did they compare to those seen in the U.S.?
Hey, good to be with you here this morning. Well, they're definitely weaker. You can definitely see how each country is being impacted by higher interest rates a little bit differently, I think. Canada's economy added far fewer jobs than people expected in December, and the jobless rate remained at about 5.8%, according to StatsCan. But permanent employee wages increased at the fastest pace, actually in 3 years. The economy in Canada added just 100 jobs. That's right, 100 jobs, according to StatsCan. Wow. Analysts that were polled by Reuters, according to the Globe and Mail, said that the forecast was a net gain of 13,500. In the U.S., it was a much stronger number, adding 216,000 jobs in December. Now, the total job gain in the U.S. for 2023 has reached 2.7 million. That's the smallest annual gain since 2019 when excluding the pandemic year of 2020. But it's a strong showing in a year marked by, we had a lot of strikes. We had layoffs from a lot of large firms, especially in the tech sector. So there's going to be a lot of people interpreting these numbers in a whole bunch of different ways.
Absolutely. So do these numbers mean anything when we think about anticipated demand for protein this year?
Yeah, something I'm really curious about is, we, especially right now as we see beef carcass weights at a very, very high levels, we need the economy in both Canada and the U.S. to be strong for all three of the major proteins. The U.S. is looking to be in a lot better shape right now than the Canadian economy, and it's been well documented that rising interest rates have really impacted the Canadian consumer a lot more. That has to do with really, if you look at some of the mortgages, shorter mortgages in Canada than the U.S., so there's a little bit more of a quicker impact from those rising interest rates for sure. But the industry really, really needs the consumer to maintain that strength. We saw retail beef prices in November in Canada up 11%. So as beef prices continue to go up, we're asking the consumer to keep on eating things like beef when things are getting a little bit tighter in the pocketbook.
So how do the numbers in these reports impact the next steps of central banks?
Yeah, that's what everyone's going to be watching here as we see, there's kind of everyone's kind of baking in a little bit, even though the stock market's been off to a little bit of a slow start here at the beginning of 24. There's expectations of, 2, 3, 4 rate decreases in both Canada and the United States here in 2024. And there's a real big debate on how quickly those will start. And will the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve, will they raise rates because they can? Or will they decrease rates because they can, or will they decrease rates because they should? That's really what a lot of people are kind of debating back and forth. And if you're kind of a believer that we need the unemployment rate to rise significantly in order for those rates to be cut in any sort of fashion, that's why these job numbers, people will be paying so close attention to them today.
Yeah, definitely. So that's good information. That's host of RealAg Radio, Shaun Haney. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can catch Shaun on his show, RealAg Radio, which airs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, weekdays on Real Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM.